sometimes I just need to flow, okay? So I'm just going to flow today. Everybody say, yay!
Yay!
All right. I was talking with a friend the other day, and she was sharing with me something that happens in her business. And I was startled. So I kind of had to process it a bit, and I wanted to share it with you today. She works at a computer company. And so I'm going to give you an example of what happens in her business.
Wow.
So she was talking about how they give directives within her company. And so the first little slide that we have, these are newfangled slides. So her company would say that they had an app that they wanted to put new data in. And in the new data edition, they wanted the enhanced app to now run at 5% increased speed. So they would say,
We would like to revamp our current app to include a new data stream, and we want the enhanced product to run at a 5% increase in speed.
and they may get this. Slide number 2, please. They may get, because they have asked, an app, this is from their crew, that included not only the original data stream, but also 2 more data streams. And the enhanced app is operating at 10% increase in speed. It has new layers of information and can then up the customer base. They might get that. Or they might get an entirely brand new app, rebuilt from the floor. Not only the original data stream, but 1, 2, 3, 4 more. It's a next generation that not only acquires new customers, but new industries, because it is so cutting edge. All from this request. So ladies, if you just step back. Or the company might, Doug, or the company might put out the directive this way. Read the directive, please.
We would like to revamp our current app to include a new data stream, and we want the enhanced product to run at a 5% increase in speed.
If they put the directive out that way, this is what they would get. They would get the app with the data stream with a 5% increase in speed. Do you understand?
No.
There's only one difference. The directive was given by a female the first time, which now allows complete creativity. Hold up our apps, ladies. The second time, by the male, calls forth complete compliance. Now, the company does this consciously. If they only want compliance and they do not want to spend money on their teams being creative, the directive is always given by a man. The team immediately complies. If the company, however, wants to expand and is open to allowing the team to be more creative, they give it by a female. And then the doors are open for a variety of responses. Now, okay, thank you guys. Good visual? Yes. Now, this idea of complying to the male instruction versus creating to the female instruction goes one step further within this company. This young lady presents proposals and data to clients. When she is presenting information to clients that is specific, you need to do this, and this is what you are getting for that. The client will then come back to her with variables. Oh, but we don't quite understand. What if we do this? How about this? What if this? And this will go on for a while until one of my friend's subordinate males on her team looks at the client and repeats exactly what she has just said. And the client says, okay, I got it. I understand now. So you can understand my shock. Is it really possible that we respond based on male or female? So I had to do a little bit more research. So I Googled, you have to Google. I found a paper that was published in December of 2014. and I want to be respectful of the work that was done. This was a study that was begun by a young woman who was in her doctorate program at North Carolina State. And she was helping her, I guess, professor grade papers. And she was grading an online course, and it says she often received emails from students challenging her decisions. They complained about her grading, and in some cases they went over her head and emailed the professor directly. She vented to a male colleague who was also grading for the course, saying it was frustrating how much students were protesting her decisions. And he said, "What are you talking about?" He hadn't received anything. So both of them looked at how they were doing it. They were using the same language, and they were baffled as to why there would be such a difference in the response to the corrections from the students. So a study was launched, and she was at the helm. They did an online course study. It was discussion groups in technology and society classes within the sociological and anthropology department at North Carolina State. Both a female and a male taught 2 online classes. Both the female and the male taught it in such a way that they mirrored one another. They mirrored response time, they mirrored handling the students, they mirrored each other. The female taught 2 classes. To one class, she said she was a female instructor. To the other, she said she was male. The male taught 2 classes. To one class, he said he was a female. To the other, he said he was male. Everything went great until review time came, when the 4 classes reviewed the instructors. Across the board, the 2 classes who thought they were being taught by a man gave the teacher higher scores. The classes that thought they were being taught by a female did not. And there was one thing that was very specific I wanted to share with you, especially with professionalism and all this, men got higher grading. But promptness of response to homework. And they monitored themselves to be consistent. The male got a grade of 4.35 out of 5 for promptness. The female got a 3.55 for promptness. And they were exactly the same. Perception. We always think that perhaps we respond to people differently because women might teach differently, men might teach differently. But this is perception based simply on gender. Perception. Fascinating, isn't it? That when the male speaks, the brain goes to compliance. When the female speaks, the brain goes to options. And it's true, when my son was a little boy, and I was a good mother, and I'm sticking to that. It's a story. I teach. I always teach. So I would chat with David about everything. It got to the point where I had to say to him, that is an order, not an option. And then he knew. That's an order, not an option. We still had some options trying to flip through there, but nevertheless, he knew where I stood. I had the opportunity to teach him last year, because I've never taught him in a formal setting, but he became one of my students in the seminary program. And I noticed that when I said, David, this file opened up in his head. You could see it. And it was like, how do I get out of what she's going to ask me to do? What can I possibly do over here? And it was like options abounded. And I hadn't even formulated the question yet. But I found that if I called him Fuller, which is the name his boys called him since birth, Fuller, hey Fuller, Fuller, he's looking at me. He's ready to comply. Have you noticed I call him Fuller when we're in class? If ever you hear me call him Fuller, I'm saying shut the options. I need you to do something. Okay? Amazing, isn't it? All right. How we perceive. All right. How does God talk to us, guys? Mostly in our intuition, right? And what is that soft, still, small voice inside us? What does it feel like?
Options.
It feels like this beautiful, feminine, sweet, how about, what do you think? I think someone in the way long ago figured this out, and that's why they said God's a guy. Because we need you to comply with what we're telling you to do. And so they made this male energy dictate. But if you've ever talked to God, you never meet that male energy dictating, do you? There's never a being that stands before you and orders you about. It's this beautiful, soft, sweet energy. And we always go, oh, maybe I will. How many of you have guidance and have received guidance over the years that go into a big old option file? And how many of you act on your guidance and you know immediately you've got to comply with it? Yeah, there are times when you need to comply with it. There are times when you need to comply. I remember one time, not too long ago, I was taking one of my beautiful energy naps, which I adore. I don't get them often. I was upstairs in my bedroom and taking my little energy nap, and wake up, Cindy. You need to get out of bed and go downstairs. I'm tired. Child, mother, that's just a suggestion. I'm tired. Again, I don't think they literally shook me, but I could feel all the angels around me, and the words again, get up and go downstairs. Back to sleep. Bam! A limb pierced our ceiling in our bedroom, and water flooded, and it was like an explosion, to which I screamed and shot up, and the water poured. I don't know where it came from. It wasn't raining. It was pouring into my bedroom. And I ran downstairs to get a bucket, and a huge tree limb was all over our deck. It's like, okay, I should have come downstairs. Because I was in shock. And it wasn't until we actually removed the tree that did the damage that I realized deck, bed, tree. The tree was on the side of the house by my bed. And I said to Patrick, how did that limb get way over on the deck and going through the roof at the angle it went through? And he said, these things happen. But I imagine there was some angel going, blow it that way, she's not getting up. I wish I had complied. Because when it hit, I would have gone, thank you, instead of screaming and hysterically running around. Babies be going to shop. All right, so understanding the beautiful energy of our guidance. So I had some things for us to think about. To give us some cues. How do you think God feels that we're always looking at God with options? I mean, I'm sure he still loves us. He, she, it. But when we get this beautiful guidance and downloads, if we could just consider, maybe that is my opportunity to co-create, make something bigger with it, come up with a new app with all these new things added to it, maybe. Maybe I just need to do the one thing that's being asked of me, maybe. Maybe I just need to do it, maybe. These are times when you really do need to act on your intuition. If you are a meditator, and you meditate, and you don't really get anything that day, had experience with God, had a great time, but there's no directive. And you are walking in your world, and you get that gut feeling to leave, to go, to make a right, to make a left, you should act on that. You're already hooked up. You're hooked up, you're fed. That information needs to come in quickly to you, and maybe your brain won't listen to it. Those are times to act on the energy. Okay? All right? That's when we need to comply. If the words come to you as instructions, you need to comply. Do you understand? All right. When you are given guidance in your dreams or your meditations, and you start a list of those guidances, maybe one of your next steps of compliance might be just to look at it once a week. Does that make sense? Do you know everything that I've ever accomplished from guidance always started with me speaking it. I would get guidance in my meditations. I got guidance several years ago that there were some angels that wanted to come and help the earth. They were going to help us with our building. They were going to help us with a lot of things. And they were called mailbox angels. And I went, oh, that's cool. Mailbox angels. I have no idea. Had our council meeting, and I said to the council, I verbalized, you know what? There's some angels that want to become visible to you guys, and they want to become mailbox angels so they can protect the energy that comes into our world. And the council said, well, cool. Let's make that happen. That's all that had to be said. Immediately, we had an artist. William helped me get things together. We had the work done, and they're on the wall in the foyer. And they're in the bookstore. And we've been selling them for 5 years. And their presence is real. They could still have just been an idea that's in my folder. And I do have ideas in my folders, things that I've been given to do. Sometimes speaking it is the first way to bring it into reality, to comply. What if it's just something small that you're supposed to do? You know, we're given small things all the time. He who is faithful in little things can handle the big things. If you can't handle the little things, you're not going to be given the big things. You know? But more than that, I want us to start looking at how we view that communication we get from God. We want the big guy in the sky to order us about. We want to be the beautiful co-creative spirit. We want to be in tune with co-creating as both male and female ourselves. We want to be in tune with acting when we get it, co-creating when we need to, and just letting it come through us. Are you willing to let things come through you? Yeah. Even if you look silly when you do? When I was very, very young, one of the first things I was given, and I was on the board of a Unity church at the time, I was 30, and I was meditating. We were having financial difficulties. And I was meditating. I said, okay, God. Of course, I took on everybody's problems at that time, which how and I said, okay, God, show me what to do. What do we do? How do we raise this church? How do we lift this money up? How do we, And I got put horns on it. Literally, words, put horns on it. Okay, great. What does this mean? Nothing else. Meditated again, same words, put horns on it. Meditate again, same words, put horns. I had no idea what that meant, put horns on it. What is this, some great sacred metaphysical secret? I had no idea. So the next board meeting, I went to the party store and I bought Mickey Mouse horns. And the next board meeting, I put the checkbook in the middle of the table. I gave everybody a Mickey Mouse horn and we all blew the checkbook. And I said, I have no idea why we're doing this, but we're going to comply with what I was told to do. And there was a big influx of cash. What we were doing, we were having fun and breaking down barriers, breaking down an old idea. We're just doing something silly and different to expand consciousness. And I don't think God cared how I did it. I think it mattered that I did something. You know? So sometimes our compliance is not the perfection. It's not the perfect. It's the step. It's the step. When Jesus is teaching people how to go within, he takes them to this beautiful space. Don't you know, when I was going over all this stuff as a metaphysical minister, I immediately thought of myself. Oh, so people listen to what I say and then they go, ha ha ha. We're going to do what we want. And isn't that metaphysical truth? Yes, you're supposed to do that. So I guess that's why more women leading in the metaphysical community than men. You know, it gives you that opportunity to do that. But the reality is, even Jesus takes us to that place. When you meditate and you go deep within, what he says is there is a storehouse inside your soul where you have all wisdom of all that has ever been, all that will be. There is all prophecy within you. There are all the tools and treasures that you need for you to know God. And this is in chapter 30. when he's just a little boy, he gives this energy to the world. And it's just such a beautiful explanation of when we go to truly meet God, who do we meet? Ourselves. When we go to truly meet God, we meet us. We meet that beautiful divinity that we are, that creative life force within us. And if that is our goal, do you think it might be better for us to put a little bit more of our male spin on the female instructions? Just a little bit more of the compliance on the creativity, rather than just sitting in it. Just sitting in it. I hope that when my term comes to cross over, that my file of things to do is empty. Right now it's not. And I have some huge projects in there. But I would hope that it's empty. That I would have found what I need to make it happen. Is everybody looking at options in your brain now? Let me see here, let's think here, maybe that'll apply there. I'm not sure about that there. Do I need to have Patrick come up and close this out with a directive? God is father, mother. God is male, female. Think about how you interact with the world and how you interact with God. Well, as metaphysical Christian beings and spiritual beings, we want to be divinely creative, and we want to be using the information that comes to us in a wise and action-oriented way. So that is our goal. So today, the talk, I hope you will take with you. I hope you will look at how you look at people. I hope that when a female gives you instructions, you'll shut your options file and see what she's really saying before you try to correct her. I hope that you'll pay attention to the male as he gives instructions, that you might go, oh, let me open my option file too. Let me treat everyone with the same energy. Okay? Perhaps we could start there. But let's start with God now. All right, so put your feet on. God, we ask that your love fill this room. And I ask each one of you just to breathe and feel a beautiful column of light come over you now. And I would invite each of you just to begin to allow your focus to go to your heart. Just breathing gentle, letting your body relax into the chair. Who I am. Let me look in my heart. Who I am. And as you make your way deep into the heart center, imagine you can find yourself in the garden of your heart. A very familiar place. A place filled with you. And a place filled with God. And see yourself standing in this beautiful garden. Notice your hands and your feet, your body. All that you are is an expression of God. Your hands are God's hands. Your feet are God's feet. And I want you to now gently begin to remember how God talks to you. When you hear the greater guidance, how does it come? And just feel that beautiful energy of God, love reaching to you right there. Let it fill you. And in it, feel the complete acceptance. Complete acceptance for who you are. You can consciously walk in this energy on this planet. It is your choice. And if you choose to try, take a breath and breathe that light into you. Father, Mother God, we ask that this connection stay strong. We ask to feel the gentleness and the directives. And we ask to know the courage as we take these steps. Feel that love in your heart expanding now and feel your oneness with God. Take a breath and very gently let your focus come back to your chair. Father, Mother God, bless us all in peace as we become greater. And so it is. Thank you, God. Our entire month is dedicated to rejuvenating our sense of purpose on the planet as individuals. Our greatest ally is that beautiful connection with Spirit. If we can hear and act, we can find that higher purpose that we all have. You ready? Say, yay, God.
Yeah.